Hello, welcome to the Whiskey Cave. I'm going to do something a little different tonight. Derrick's been pouring me some blinds and making me try and figure out what it is I'm drinking, and I'm going to change the tables a little bit tonight. I've got myself a nice bottle that I have not yet tried, and I know for sure that Derrick has also not tried. If you've been following along, you know Derrick and I have a certain spot in our heart for Redbreast Irish whiskey. It's a premium brand of Irish whiskey that we've long enjoyed, and they're really starting to come out with different flavor profiles and different finishes. I will always seek out a Redbreast and try a new Redbreast. Definitely the Redbreast name is something that I will always put in the hunt list. So for tonight, I found a Missouri Oak. It's 101 proof Redbreast, and we're going to give it to Derrick blind, and I'm going to be shocked if he likes it. And that's kind of a weird statement because Derrick really likes Redbreast, but there's one bottle in particular of Redbreast he's not a fan of, and that's the Kentucky Oak. He's also not a big fan of things finished in a virgin oak barrel. So after the whiskey is aged and they take that whiskey and they drop it into a new barrel, a lot of times they'll dump it into a port wine barrel or a sherry wine barrel and let it age for a few more months. This is finished in a virgin oak barrel for 10 additional months. The virgin oak, an oak barrel that's never had anything in it before, often becomes a little bit too nutty or too oaky for Derrick's preference, and quite honestly, sometimes mine. So I'll even have my own reservations on this. The Kentucky Red Oak, or the Redbreast Kentucky, I'm a huge fan of. I absolutely love that bottle. I just think it's a sugar cookie with vanilla frosting on top of it. But Derrick disagrees with me. He's not a big fan of that bottle. This edition we've never had. It's Missouri Oak, so it's a part of the American Oak finishing series that Redbreast is currently doing. Notes of nutmeg, cinnamon, rich berry fruits, vanilla cream. 10 months in a virgin oak. We're going to pour it for Derrick. We're going to see what he thinks of this. We're going to see what I think of it, because I've never had it either. We're going to give it to him blind. Obviously, I'll know what it is I'm drinking. And this is why Derrick opens these things in advance. Me, I just thought it would be cool to show the experience that I've never had it before, but hearing him screwing up the opening process, we're going to get there. We're going to muscle through it, is what we're going to do. We're going to muscle through it. Should I leave the evidence, or what should I do with the evidence? All right, here we go. Let's get a couple of glasses. So, I actually don't have high hopes. I don't think Derrick's going to speak very highly of this. You should get notes of vanilla. They say dark cherry on this, which I'd be surprised if I get some dark cherry on this, and pleasantly surprised. Toffee apple is one of their notes on the nose that they reference. But this is finished in casks of American oak sourced from the Ozark Forests of Missouri. 101 proof. Redbreast. Absolutely love Redbreast. I have never had a Redbreast I don't like. I'm going to cheat on the nose. Oh, the nose is awesome. I'm already liking it. I haven't even had any, and I already know I'm going to like it. Let's see what Derrick gets for notes. Let's see how he scores it. Let's see if he likes it. My guess, it's not going to be his favorite Redbreast. And he's a big fan of Redbreast. So if he really does like this, I'm going to be shocked. And I'm going to love it. But let's see. How's this?
Put me on the other side of the counter.
I'm feeling a little weird here. Yeah, so I'm on the left side, you're on the right side. We'll get used to this. So, welcome to the cave.
Cool. What's going on?
So we're obviously flipping the tables.
Yeah.
You knew that a little bit. You don't know what we're drinking. You don't know what I've got.
Nope.
I am going to be fascinated by your take on this. I'll give you one hint right off the bat. I've never had it.
Okay.
This will be my first time trying this as well.
All right. So probably not. Then I probably never had it.
You've also never had it. It's a new released bottle.
Okay.
It is from a distillery that you do enjoy.
Something that might be similar to things I'm familiar
It
with.
may be similar, but I think we could go in a different direction here. So I'm going to be really fascinated on you being on this side.
All right.
And your take.
Let's give it a go.
So before we
Any
get
hints you want to give me?
I just did. We've never had it before.
I know I'm fishing.
Yeah, I know you're fishing. I know how the fishing game works. All right, you can take anything. So the funny thing is when you fish for clues, as I have, the answers don't necessarily help. They tend to get you off track a little bit. So, as a somewhat experienced fisher, be careful the lake you're swimming in. Okay.
Sure.
So, let's talk about a little bit about what got you into whiskey. Where did you first start enjoying whiskey?
Oh, it took me a long time to get into whiskey. Had bad experience when I was younger. Kind of staying away from it. Bourbon started becoming more popular in my early 30s. A couple friends that introduced me to a few things. All right, that's interesting. I also got to the point where I was getting older and didn't want necessarily a lot of mixers in my drinks, so I started drinking things that were basically closer to straight. You know how I like my margarita.
Yes,
It's,
I do.
you know.
Just straight booze.
It's basically just
Yeah,
booze.
a little lime in there.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I was looking for other things that I could drink that didn't have fillers in it, didn't have sodas in it, wasn't juices with it. So I started experimenting with like Knob Creek, Basil Hayden. Those were some of the first things that, from a bourbon standpoint, that got me back into whiskey. And I don't really know how we got to Scotch, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, that's a great question because I also started in the bourbon side of things as well. And, my love affairs like yours is navigated over to the Scotch side. I still like all whiskey. I still enjoy all whiskey, but if I could only pick one type of whiskey, then I'm probably in your lane. We're just going to pick the Scotch. And I don't know, it's even hard for me to recall, like, what was the bourbon? I guess I want to say Basil Hayden, but I don't really have any strong entry recalls to what got me into the bourbon side. On the Scotch side, it was the Belvenny line.
Mm-hmm.
It was double wood, the Caribbean cask.
Oh yeah, that first Caribbean cask was divine.
Yeah. And now we've just enjoyed a whole gamut of different flavors.
Yeah, and I'm not as keen on that at this point. But it was sometime around the turn of, Friday nights used to be poker night. Then it became social night.
Yeah.
And for a while it was margaritas and it was Long Island iced teas.
Long Island iced teas for a while.
And I think somebody brought over some whiskey. And that's pretty good. And then we started, let's find something else we like. And then can we find something else we like? And to the point where we bought every conceivable option that's available at the local liquor store.
Yeah. Once we did get on the whiskey train, it was a train that just won't stop, hasn't stopped.
But that was part of the fun of Friday nights, was trying to find something no one had before.
Yes. Bringing over a special bottle or a unique bottle of something, be it budget, be it mid-price, high price, doesn't matter. It's something that, nobody had shared or nobody had tried before. It was, each Friday night was its own experience of trying something different.
And a lot of those were not winners. But it was cool when you brought one over that everyone liked. We got, or at least the majority of the crowd could appreciate.
Yeah.
Which just kind of got us to
where we are. So you've obviously at this point, we both have, you've had the gamut of anything Canadian, American malt, Japanese, Taiwanese. You've had stuff from Denmark, Sweden, China, Australia, and obviously you're Irish and you're Scotch as well. What do you think your favorite region of Scotland is? I know you're a bigger Scotch guy, so
I'm probably gonna go Speyside. Just from the kind of refined, it tends to be more apt to find something finished, sweeter, lighter. Although I appreciate everything, Like I love the Springbank, but Campbelltown doesn't have that many options really.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a tough thing for me to answer as well. If you're just talking availability, accessibility, easeability, approachability, then Speyside Highland for sure.
Yeah, and the Highland kind of blends in with that as well.
Yeah, and it's also more community scotch. And what I mean by that is if you have a bourbon drinker over, then he's likely to appreciate a fruity Speyside.
Yes.
You have to keep him away from the peated stuff, the Islay and the Campbelltown. Then, even if guy's an Irish whiskey drinker or a bourbon guy, there's probably something in the Speyside Highland that you can appreciate and share with.
And I still appreciate Irish whiskey. Like it hits the spot on a lot, especially on a warmer day, more social occasion, a little easier to drink.
Would you agree that you just did? So would you agree that Irish is the most approachable or easy to drink?
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you think it's the pot still that does that?
Well, I think to a certain extent, it's even just the history and the design. It was designed for drinkability.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure part of its process, but also it was much more of a social, I think, element than a tasting element.
So I've always liked your run of the mill Irish. It's an easy drink. Your Jameson's it's an easy drink, but not a lot of character, right? But now they're taking some of those refined Irish whiskeys and they're finishing them in a sherry, finishing them in a bourbon, finishing in a port wine, and you're getting a whole lot of other characters.
Yeah, and that's kind of your Redbreast and all the the things they do, which makes a much superior version. But I can still just appreciate the clean, easy drinking, Irish whiskey on occasion.
What mood are we in? Sometimes it's just what mood.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just have a hankering and a craving for that peated Islay, subtle punch in the face. Sometimes that's the mood I'm in, and sometimes I'm in the mood for bourbon. Sometimes I'm in the mood for just a light Irish.
Yeah, for the peated ones, I really enjoy the experience. Might have a glass, maybe two, probably no more than two. But if we're going to be drinking for a long period of time, something that's a little lighter, a little bit easier to keep up with. The Irishes tend to be a little bit lower alcohol content too.
They do,
So,
yes. So pros and cons, so they're lower and they're easier to drink, but you tend to consume more.
You may drink them faster.
Yes. If you have something a little proofier or a little bit more pungent, so to speak, then even though you're enjoying it, you tend to drink it a little slower. It lingers on tongue a little bit longer. Well, I'm fascinated on what you're going to discover here today.
All right.
I can't wait to get into this. So top that lid, get a nose, and talk to me.
Right.
I also have not actually. I'm going to lie. I did nose.
You
I nosed it before.
Sure.
I nosed it on video just a moment ago. So I didn't get into the descriptors though, or at least mine. I might have talked about what they say.
Sure,
but.
Pretty light nose.
I would agree with that. It's present, but it's not. It's not a flavor bomb on the nose.
My first instinct is corn.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't get any real finish notes.
Okay.
No peat notes. I'm leaning American to start with.
All right. Does it nose proofy at all?
No, but it's got flavor. It's got it's this character to the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't get a lot of sweetness, so maybe it is a little proofy.
So, reading a label, if you will, they were referencing one thing off the nose. Well, they referenced a few things, and there's really only one that's coming out to me that I can agree with. And once I say it, you're probably on board. Toffee. They actually specifically said toffee apple.
No,
I see the toffee a little bit. I'm not getting the apple though.
I get more of the baking spice, the
Okay.
baking powder.
Nutmeg or something.
No, more like
More
baking
just
powder,
baking powder,
baking
okay.
soda.
Yeah, so I get that. toffee to me is a hard thing to explain. Rubbery candy kind of thing.
So toffee to me would be more burnt sugar, a little crispness to it.
Yeah. Now toffee to me is I get more soft tenors. You just mentioned some aggressive ones.
Yeah, I think for me toffee's more of a when you bite into it, it's a
maybe when you actually physically bite, but the flavor profile to me is more of the chewy,
maybe some
sweet
oak.
side. Oak, okay.
Oak. All right, you ready to?
Yeah, let's do it. Down the hatch.
That is really smooth.
That's good.
Maybe 90 proof.
Okay.
But it's so smooth it could be high. It could be lying to you there.
Sure. Yeah. I will say. I mean, so would you say that what's the impact of the flavor profile? I mean, is it flavorful? You don't necessarily need to describe the flavors that are in it per se, but what's the volume of flavor?
Mid,
Okay.
but for me it's lightness and sweetness, super smooth, little creamy.
Creamy. Yeah.
I mean, it's got plenty of flavor. The flavors are subtle.
So I will say I'm not getting much. Well, let me take that back a little bit. As you know, most of the descriptors on the box are, some
The
guy,
marketing copy.
some guy throwing darts at things. I do get a couple of them, but they're not more of the subtle variety. I would say the most thing I'm getting out of this is vanilla. You said creamy, and I go to creamy vanilla, and that's probably the biggest thing I'm getting out of this. And I think that's the follow through for me. Nose, palate, finish. If I could just pick one simple thing.
Yep.
Creamy vanilla.
And I would say you mentioned the no, I'm forgetting the word. What was the smell? The scent you referenced earlier?
Toffee.
Toffee. Maybe a toffee finish.
Yeah.
Like a little. It's got a very sweet, lingering finish.
So they mentioned. I think they mentioned it on the nose. So
well, you mentioned it for the nose, but I can kind of taste it.
But they specifically said toffee apple, and I'm not getting any apple.
Only that apple is a relatively light and tasteless fruit.
Sure.
I think sometimes when they think things are light, they use apple and pear as kind of those light fruity essences. Versus, it's not cherry or anything, anything with some zing to it.
Right.
I'm looking at the wall, which has got most of the bourbons on it in front of me, trying to figure out what brand might this taste like. Not my forte.
So you don't have a comp yet? Yeah, I don't expect you to pick a bottle. I mean, I was picking a bottle.
Well, no, I'm trying to pick a brand.
Yeah. Can you give me are you stuck in America?
I mean, it's smooth enough that it could be Irish, but that first nose had a lot of corn to it to me.
Yep.
That brings me back to the U.S.
Right to the U.S.
Yeah.
Yes. We love our corn in America.
So I think this has a lot of Irish whiskey tendencies, but a corn base.
Okay.
The scent is really bourbony.
Okay.
Like premium bourbon, but
Premium bourbon. Okay. Want to rate it? You said 90 proof, so you got that out of the way.
Yep. No, I was actually going to numbers. So I'll give it it's smooth, it's clean, it's not really distinctive. It's not something I'm going to necessarily in a rating system give really high reviews and not say I don't like it. So it'd be like 8, 8.2, 8.3.
I'm often fascinated how, although sometimes we differ. More often
We
than
have
not,
similar
we have similar palates. I'm going to say the nose, knowing what the bottle is, and of course when you know what the bottle is, you already have these preconceived notions of, your
I know what this
expectations.
is.
Yeah.
I know what this is.
You know what this is?
Yes. This is that Missouri Oak Redbreast you bought.
You son of a bitch. I gotta stop showing the receipts. So, let me rate it first, asshole.
Sorry, I was so happy, proud of myself.
Try hard extra. Cut. The nose isn't as good as I was hoping to be, but it's not bad. It's not a bad nose. It's more of a lackluster, not living up to what I was expecting or hoping for. For that, I'd probably give it a straight 8 on the nose. 8.2 on the palate and 8.3 on the finish. So I think that was your score as well, or something real close to that. I mean, the finish to me is the best component. It does linger nicely. It's inviting to say, give me some more. Mm-hmm. So this is aged, and I was telling the audience that I'd be fascinated to what you think of this because you love Redbreast, but you don't like the Kentucky Oak.
I don't like the Kentucky Oak.
So when I'm buying a Missouri Oak, part of me is like, yeah, let me get something Derrick not a fan of, And I know that sounds weird, but it's finished 10 months in virgin oak.
Which is usually a no
for you.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm also not a fan of things finished in virgin oak. Generally, it tends to dry out.
That's usually my comment. I feel,
Right. And I will say this. I'm not getting that here.
No, I got a little oak on the nose, but not in the flavor profile. It wasn't dry.
Yeah.
I didn't get that kind of, this is a little, make my tongue fuzzy.
This is not worth the money, in my opinion.
How would you compare it to the Kentucky Oak?
Kentucky Oak blows us out of the water.
I think that I might like this one better.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You really dug the Kentucky Oak.
Yeah.
The Kentucky Oak, to me, on the Redbreast line, and they're all great, but the Kentucky Oak rose above and just stood out in the character of the Kentucky Oak. As I described earlier, it was just a cookie with a thick layer of vanilla frosting on top. And I just love that bottle. Absolutely love that bottle. And if you ask me my favorite Redbreast, I'd be hard pressed to give an answer, but that one would be my running, which is your worst Redbreast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I probably, at first, just not thinking about it too much, would be the PX.
The PX Sherry, yeah. Which is a great bottle. This is a fine bottle. It's a good bottle. It's a good flavor profile. Yeah. Its price point's a little out of whack for me. I think I paid $180 for it. $200 maybe.
Give me the 12 year.
Yeah.
Just give me the straight up 12 year.
Yeah.
Not enough. There's
not enough going on here.
Yeah. Not for the differential.
Not at all. Yeah. So in terms of the price point of the bottle, I think this is a big miss. It's a fine whiskey to drink.
Yeah, that is if money wasn't an object, but it does cloud.
Sure.
Your kind of opinion of things.
Yeah, I'm not going to run out and grab another one of these.
Right.
I'd rather grab a whole other slew of Redbreast than to grab this one again. But you don't know until you buy it.
No,
until you try it.
and that's the hunt is part of the fun too.
It is. Yeah.
I do find personally, like, things that are super hard to get, I don't want to get attached to. So, like, if I know I can't get it, I'm even less likely to buy the one sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
Because what if I did really like it? Now I won't be able to get it again. Or I won't open it. Like, I've had a Springbank 10 for 4 years. I don't have another one yet, so I haven't opened the first one.
Yeah, don't blame me. I haven't been touching mine either. Liquid gold. So, but you know, like I say, you don't know until you try it. Not a bad whiskey. It's just not living up to the hype.
Yep.
Or the price point. So with that, I guess we'll close it out. That's Derek. I'm Tom. We're just a couple of whiskey enthusiasts. If you like what we do, like, share, follow, comment. Yeah, if you want us to try something different, you want a bottle that you want us to give a crack at and give us a rating, mention it in the comments. We'll try something for you.
We've got a few of these out there now. We'd love to hear from you. Questions, comments, thoughts. Just engage. Should be great.
Yeah. Other than that, we're just a couple of guys just trying to share some great whiskey. Good times.
I like to be on this side.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm gonna try this out for a little while. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I mean, you get used to whether you're in the driver's seat or the passenger seat, and you know whether you're a passenger princess, so to speak, right? But
I like to be chauffeured.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Enjoy.
Cheers.